Welcome back to the show. My next guest is a defensive end, excuse me while I swallow there, for the Los Angeles Raiders, and was one of the most important factors in making the Raiders the 1981 Super Bowl champions. That was a year ago, of course. He is also a movie actor and is finishing work on his latest film, Petaluma Pride. Welcome, please, John Matuszak. Thank you very much for being here. Let me, first of all, ask you about the movie Petaluma. Good heavens.
This seat is still kind of warm. Was that Abigail?
That was Abigail. She probably, yeah. Does that do odd things to you?
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah. Petaluma Pride. What is it? Sounds like a butter.
It's
That's just a joke, by the way. I think we all understand that, don't we? It's a movie.
Yes.
About wrist wrestling?
Yes.
Yeah. And you play a...
Hanna-Barbera put it out, and I only had about a day or two work on it. Mm-hmm. But they handled me with first class and a lot of pride.
Yeah.
The way they did the whole thing.
Have you seen any of the movie?
No.
Yeah. It looked like a pretty good deal when you were in it?
Well, I don't know, because I was only there a day or two.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Yeah.
But I do like that. I do like that acting thing.
Yeah.
It's just it's just fun being in front of people and being yourself. And we're all capable of being about 100 different personalities. It's just which time you want to bring it out.
You worked with Ringo Starr, and was it Caveman?
Yeah.
What was that? Was that fun?
A lot of heavy dialogue in that. Really. Tandel Lunda Ul.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It really was.
What was it like to work with the legendary Beatle Ringo Starr?
Oh, he is just the greatest. He's just very down to earth and a hard-working person.
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody that's going to really work hard and be honest with you when you're doing a project like that, because it's very important to a lot of people.
Speaking of projects, normally this time you'd be making your living playing football. What is the status of the strike?
The strike is really kind of in the hands of the owners. At the same time, we have some people that are representing the Players Association, and they're trying to use some of the issues for a political platform, and that's really not fair to a lot of us, because we want to be working. We don't like being on strike, and I personally don't think it's fair for the average fan or the common man. I like watching football too. I was brought up.
Yeah.
But there are some points that have to be made, and the fact is that it's just such a highly volatile business that you walk around a lot of times with a limp or the rest of your life, or can't lift your shoulder up, and your average career length is like only 4 years. And when you really take a look at the issues, you realize that the man's really not getting his fair share, because it really is a tough business.
Let me ask you two questions about the strike, and then we'll go on to other things. Okay. You mentioned now that the union leaders were using this for their own political means. Is that what you said?
No, I'm saying one or two, and maybe doing
one of the two of the people on your side, or one of the two people on the owner's side?
Well, there's good guys on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
There's some owners that, like mine, Mr. Al Davis of the Oakland, per se, L.A. Raiders. Got to be careful. I don't know yet. It's in Congress.
Yeah. They could be just vacationing in
But
LA.
Al's very honest. Well, I recommended to Mr. Eliota, who represented us, I said, I think the best thing to do would be to play all our home games in Oakland, all the away games in L.A. He didn't.
Not a bad idea. No.
He said, come here a second, I want to talk to you. I want to remind you that Los Angeles doesn't have a team either. And they are. It's the entertainment capital of the world, right next to New York. And you've got to be careful.
Yeah. But again, now, and I don't want to beat this to death, but you think that somebody on your side is looking at this as a springboard to a career in politics?
Well, one or two people will always be that way.
Like
no
who? Who are they?
Let's name names.
No, is it the names that we keep hearing in the news, or is it other people?
I'd say there are some. I don't think it's fair to
Okay. I mean, just
to do that to anyone.
No, but you just mentioned it.
It's like kissing and telling.
No, you don't.
Do
No,
that.
no, you don't want to be doing that.
No, as soon as a woman gets a hold of the fact that you've been telling your other friends that you might have been going out with her, you'll never have a date again.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's wise not to say anything.
No, that's right. That's right. Geez, it means something when this gentleman tells you you may never have another date again. It has some added significance. Those words are just... okay, now the other thing about the strike, what is it? Is it the players just want 60% of the revenue or 55%? Is that the deal? Is that the key issue? Is that the
Well,
only
the whole
issue?
deal is that 10 years ago, we were getting 57% of the gross revenue. And today, and we know how tough times are, economically speaking, we're getting 27% of the gross revenue. But like I said before, we also have like only 4 years to make that money. And Uncle Sam takes a great deal of it, like he should, because a lot of people, you know, the wealth should be distributed, in other words, to make a long story short.
And views, good or bad, put those aside, how much longer is the NFL going to be on hiatus?
I don't like it for 1 second, but I have a feeling that the owners will do everything they can. And like I said, there are some very good owners, like Al Davis, because he really does care about his players. If Al was in charge of this thing, it would be over right away, because he knows...
He's a street fighter, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's a rebel with a cause.
Now, as soon as you say anything good about Al Davis, the season ticket holders in Oakland just start to fume.
Can't blame him.
You can't blame them. We'll talk about that and maybe some pleasant things. Hopefully, of course, we have plenty of pleasantries to exchange with Mr. Matuszak. We'll be right back. Matuszak, the Los Angeles Raiders is here. Just your feelings about moving the team from Oakland to Los Angeles. This has been hashed over and over again, but what do you think about that?
Well, it has, but at the same time, it's very hard to do because the Oakland people are just tremendous. They really gave us a lot of support. Being an athlete, I can't use that in the wrong way, but they really did give us a lot of support.
It was just it was purely a business move, wasn't it? I mean, as unfair as that sounds.
It wasn't unfair as much as it's meant to be, because it had to be done. Al Davis had to do it. He saw what was happening, and from what I heard, and it's just only the inside, what I had heard about it was that he was just lied to. They promised him they'd fix up the stadium. The winningest team of all times, 20 years he's down there, and he asked for some readjustments. He wants the stadium fixed up, and he says, "Sure, we'll give you the loan. Whatever you need." And then they reneged on it, and that just made him mad.
Still in all, the people who seem to really be paying the price are the poor folks who sold out game after game up there in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some other things. Now, when you went to work for Al Davis, is it true that they said to you, John, you can come up and play ball with us, but you got to get rid of your girlfriend?
She was kind of hard on me, no question about it.
Now, what was it about her behavior that they didn't want any
Well,
more
it's just
of?
it's just dangerous to your health when somebody tries running you over in their car. And the girl was jealous, and I can't blame her.
She actually tried to run you down with a car.
Yes, once or twice.
Once or twice. And this ties right into this next thing. I know you. Wednesday night has, as you say, has been your night out, and this has gotten you into some trouble, hasn't it?
Occasionally, it's happened at the Super Bowl, and we didn't even talk about this before he came out there. So he's doing a good job. No, you're prepared. You are.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I was too. No, he went down to New Orleans to play Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. And it was Wednesday night, and it's a traditional night out because you have such a violent, tough practice on Wednesday, which is our defensive day. I mean, it's people ripping their shirts off other people and throwing them down and punching, and it's kind of against my nature. It is.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
So I had to go release a little bit of tension. So I went out, and I had, being down in New Orleans, I had promised a couple people some tickets. Saul and Chris Owens, who own the 809 Club on Bourbon in St. Louis, had taken care of me when I had absolutely no money, and I was going to college, University of Tampa. You take a little ride up there, about 400 miles, and you're right at Mardi Gras. And they just put me up, and they didn't expect anything in return. And that's a friend, so I promised them a couple tickets.
So you were out after curfew, you got fined, and so on and so forth. But that's you won anyway.
Well, that was the best thing about it, was that I didn't say anything to the press. They just came up to me the next day after I had woke up, and looked around me, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm late. I better get there." And they just said, "Well, don't say anything at all to the press.
Yeah.
Just say you made a mistake. You're fined $1,000, and too bad."
Yeah.
And so I got to thinking about it. As long as I'm paying $1,000, I really should say what was on my mind.
Yeah.
So I said the only reason I was out on the streets was to make sure none of the other guys were out.
You did it for the team. That's
I really
right.
did.
What an unselfish attitude. It's what made this country great, ladies and gentlemen. That kind of. Now let me ask you. You got a girlfriend. You probably don't see much of her anymore since she got the Pinto out and chased you up and down the street. And I know, and this may be a sore spot. You were stopped once, allegedly for drinking and driving, and also possession of a firearm. And a machete. We'll be right back. And I know you've been in some fights, so now I got to assume a lot of this is blown out of proportion. But really, for you, what is a good time now? You know, when you go out, what do you think to yourself tonight? You know what I'm saying? What do you like to do?
What question do you want me to answer first?
Well,
no, I'm with you. I'm not against you.
I guess a lot of this is bad press,
good,
right?
No, yes.
Some, anyway.
I do like to have a good time, and I've been known to do that occasionally. But as Ben Davidson once said, who was a great defensive end for the Raiders, he says, I don't care what they're writing about you as long as they're writing. And the press always has the last word, so there's no way you can argue with them. But what constitutes a good time with me would be 2 or 3 nice ladies.
Now you mean over the course of a year and a half? like those letters Abby had out here.
No, I'm talking about a hero sandwich.
A hero sandwich. Now, I read something about you and Kenny Stabler in a hot tub.
That was for you, Snake.
You and Kenny Stabler have been known to have hot tub parties, right?
Can we rephrase that question?
Well, you and Kenny Stabler and your female friends.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. You don't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
No.
No, Snake is a true gentleman. And he really does. He would be, an analogy would be to walk into a thumbnail factory with the biggest magnet around.
Yeah.
And they attract themselves to him.
Yeah.
He's that unbelievable. But he's very much of a gentleman.
Yeah.
And we have had 1 or 2 parties.
Let me also, before we leave here, I don't want to leave with the impression that you are just out of control, wild. I mean, you've had some things that have happened, but that's all in the past, isn't it? I mean, you're making an attempt to stay out of trouble. Is that fair?
Trying.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah. Well, continued success. Good luck.
Thanks.
With the strike. I know everybody, including myself, would like to see this over. John Matuszak and I will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Tomorrow night, artist Edward Boucher will be here along with Howard Cosell. I want to thank Abigail Van Buren for being here and also Mr. John Matuszak. John, you wanted to say something?
Yes. Hi, Mom.
There you go. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you, folks.